E3 2019 is coming to a close, and while we did get a few exciting surprises this year, like the announcement that Breath of the Wild is getting a sequel, many feel that this year's annual video game conference was a tad lackluster, with many big players in the industry either not addressing big titles that were previously announced, or let alone showed up at the conference at all. So today we are breaking down the biggest things that were missed at this year's conference, with our list of the top 10 games missing from E3 2019. Starting us off in at number 10, Beyond Good and Evil. The sequel to Beyond Good and Evil has long been in development hell, but back in 2017 it was announced at E3 that the game was most definitely happening, and that devs were hard at work on it. E3 2018 brought more news on the title, including some gameplay footage, and it became clear how massive of an undertaking the title would be. This year, we got nothing. It seems that the trend for some of these massive games that we've seen previewed or teased in the last few years have gone quiet, likely due to the fact that most of them are being reworked as new gen releases. Obviously that is speculation. But the fear with Beyond Good and Evil 2 is that the game will slip back into development hell, which would be an utter shame since the content that we've seen the last 2 years seemed incredibly promising. And at number 9, Bayonetta 3. Back in 2017 at the Game Awards, we were treated to a teaser for Bayonetta 3. The trailer featured Bayonetta shooting at some sort of ethereal character before the number 3 appeared on the screen, followed by basic text that read the title of the game, along with another sentence that read, "Now in development exclusively for Nintendo Switch." Many were hoping that we would get a better glimpse at the game at E3 this year, but instead Nintendo's focus was on titles like Luigi's Mansion 3 and Animal Crossing, along with that trailer for the Breath of the Wild follow-up game. Moving on to number 8, Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones is a game from Ubisoft that we've seen make an appearance in the last 2 E3s, but this year it was MIA. The open-world pirate game was recently announced to have had its release date pushed to 2020. This seems to be an ongoing problem since it was initially pushed back to 2019. The official Twitter for the game has gone silent after announcing the most recent delay. The popular theory is that Ubisoft made the decision to delay the game so that it will be released for next-gen consoles. Either that or it might enter development hell, but we're really hoping it's the former rather than the latter. Moving on to 7, Rocksteady Superman. A Rocksteady Superman game has been rumored for a long time now. Ever since the developer knocked it out of the park with the Batman Arkham games, players have been hoping to see them work their magic with DC's other flagship hero. There's been a lot of rumors online that it's in the works. Now, Rocksteady announced shortly before E3 2019 began that it would not be appearing at the conference, yet again, and that they're committed to working on a new title at the moment. It's bittersweet, but it is one of the many cases on our list that likely pertains to developers wanting to wait until they have something more substantial or something that matches their quality standards before getting fans worked up and eager to open up their wallets. And at 6, Session. Last year we learned that we weren't getting a Skate 4 after all, but rather a spiritual successor to that franchise called Session. Session was set to be released as an early access game on PC and part of the Xbox game preview for Xbox One, but then it kinda ended up slipping into oblivion somewhat. Instead of making an appearance at E3 this year, one of the developers, Vincent De Silva, announced this, I quote, "Many of you have been asking lately if we'd be at E3 this year. We decided to not take part in going to E3 this year. With early access getting closer every day, we knew it would have an impact on the development, so we decided to stay focused on developing Session instead. We've been purposely silent lately in order to work as hard as we can to offer you the best early access and Xbox game preview as we can." And at 5, Assassin's Creed Vikings. At last year's E3, gamers were shocked to see Ubisoft announce a brand new Assassin's Creed game, Odyssey, only a year after the release of Assassin's Creed Origins. Leading up to this year's E3 though, there were rumors abound that the developer was working on a new title for the franchise, centered around Vikings and Nordic civilization. While it was a bit of a bummer that we didn't see one, it does make sense, considering Ubisoft continues to dish out new content for Odyssey, which has been one of their most successful titles this past year. Their conference was mainly aimed towards many of their FPS series, along with an in-depth reveal of the brand new Watch Dogs title, which takes place in a post-Brexit England. And it looks fantastic, so at least their conference did not disappoint. And at 4, Elder Scrolls 6. Leading up to E3, it was announced that developer Bethesda would not be discussing 2 major titles at their conference this year, one of which is the highly anticipated Elder Scrolls 6 that was announced last year. We literally know nothing about it, other than the fact that it is in pre-production stages of development and that it will be coming out after their next big new IP. Fans and critics have hypothesized that we won't be seeing a release for the follow-up to Skyrim until closer to 2022. While many of us want to know more about it, it does make sense why Bethesda would skip over it this year, instead focusing their time discussing another Elder Scrolls title, Elder Scrolls Online. Considering how massive their announcements were last year with Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 76, and another title that we'll mention shortly, it is easy to see why fans of the developer were a tad bummed this year. But hey, Wolfenstein Youngblood and Doom Eternal look like they'll be pretty rad, so least we have those to look forward to. Up next, number 3, Sony and PlayStation. Perhaps one of the biggest letdowns this year was Sony's absence from E3. This was the first time in the history of the convention, in 24 years, that PlayStation has not been present. They were arguably the biggest highlight of E3 2018, and with rumors that the company is hard at work on their next generation console, referred to as the PS5, it does make sense that they would bow out this year. Despite this, Microsoft and Xbox announced their next-gen console, nicknamed Project Scarlet, noting that it was in the works, set to be released in the holiday season of 2020, an announcement that we're almost certain that Sony and PlayStation will blow out of the water with some of the titles that we'll be learning about before the next E3 comes around. Still, we can't help but be a little bit sad that we didn't get to see more of The Last of Us 2 in the works this year. Ah well. And at number 2, Metroid Prime 4. Last year, Nintendo's contribution to E3 was a solid one. Not only did we get to see a super detailed breakdown of the new Super Smash Bros. Ultimate title, we also got the tiniest glimpse of a game on the horizon for the Switch, Metroid Prime 4. It's exciting stuff. All we saw was the title, since we learned that Nintendo has returned the duties of developing it to Retro Studios, noting that, I quote, "The current development progress has not reached the standards we seek in a sequel to the Metroid Prime series. Nintendo always strives for the highest quality in our games, and in the development phase we challenge ourselves and confront whether the game is living up to that quality on a daily basis." Now while it's always reassuring to hear that Nintendo has the best interest of its gamers at heart, the lack of Metroid news is certainly because of this. We know Nintendo never shows off anything it doesn't believe is up to its standards, so in a way I guess it is reassuring, despite the fact that many were hoping to see an actual trailer or gameplay by now. And finally, in our number 1 spot, Starfield. Starfield was the other title that Bethesda announced last year. It's a brand new IP, and the teaser trailer for it barely showed off anything aside from its title and the fact that it takes place in space. Prior to announcing that Bethesda would not be discussing it at the convention this year, it, along with the floundering Fallout 76, were thought to be surefire talking points for the developer. Now we did get to see some sort of damage control concerning the online Fallout title, but nothing on this potential space epic. Considering Starfield will likely be released in 2020 for next generation consoles, keeping it out of E3 this year may have been a wise marketing choice. But needless to say, a little more information on it to get fans hyped wouldn't have hurt. Alright, there we have it friends. What else were you bummed to not see at the convention this year? Why do you think these titles were absent? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know all your thoughts. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming for all of your E3 news, highlights, and much more. In the meantime though, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.